when you think about mental health, what does that mean to you now versus when you first learned that this was even a thing, that mental health was something that was important?
Of course, early on, we think about mental health, you think about, crazy people. And growing up in the Black community, when you heard someone having mental health issues, you thought about somebody having a mental health breakdown or a nervous breakdown is what they call it. And I grew up in the South where they call depression, you had the blues. Now I see mental health just really life in motion.
Describe a time for you when you knew you needed to seek some mental health, some therapy for any mental health issues.
Gosh. So, let me take a deep breath on this one. 10 years ago, I attempted suicide the second time. And my godmother found me underneath the bed. And I think the challenging part for me was that my parents couldn't really understand what depression was. My parents are pastors. And so it was hard for them to comprehend why wasn't prayer working. And one of the misconceptions that people have about people who struggle with suicide and have suicidal thoughts or suicidal ideation, the clinical term is they think that they're wanting to end their life, but they're just wanting to end the pain.
You talk about depression and many of the things that kind of led to you knowing that you needed to try to get some kind of help, talk to someone. How do you get a person to realize that?
My heart goes out to Black men because I think they're emotionally exhausted. For most people, it's acknowledging that they need help, and that's hard, and particularly for men and men of color, because there's this notion that you have to be strong, and they're mentally fatigued, tired. Many don't feel seen, and they feel hopeless. When men take their lives, it's usually because there's a lack of hope, and they don't see their way out.
What do you think is the most common misconception about mental health?
We look at people in high places and we look at people who have acquired stuff and we say they have everything. Mm-hmm. But on the back end of that, we never know what they're fighting with internally, because you can be high functioning, depressed, but I think there's a level of abandonment that we're experiencing as Black men. Because who's cared for Black boys? Who's catered to the needs of Black boys emotionally? Even in the school systems, Black boys are usually criminalized. When I think the issue may be clinical. They're removed from classrooms. They're not given the same grace as other students. They're not given the same compassion. And how do you expect somebody to want to live if they have not been embraced? So you don't feel, well, what is the purpose of being here? Do you even want me here? And I think we have a real issue on our hands. I think the challenging thing is that the demand outweighs the solution, because there's not enough Black male therapists to connect with the Black boys. And I just want Black men to know that their lives are valuable and that you don't have to end your life.